Beyond the 8,000-meter mark lies the Death Zone, a desolate graveyard where the frozen remains of fallen climbers serve as grim milestones. Here, the air is a ghost, offering barely enough oxygen to sustain life while hurricane-force winds of 372 kilometers per hour scream across peaks at -50 degrees Celsius. In this realm of sudden avalanches and lethal rockfalls, conquering the world's deadliest mountains isn't just a feat of skill. It is a brutal high-stakes gamble with fate itself. Let's explore the top 8 hardest and most dangerous mountains to climb in the world. Here's a little secret. Mount Everest doesn't top this list. While it may be the highest peak, it's far from being the most difficult or treacherous when compared to the giants we're about to see. Let's begin. What makes a mountain the hardest and most dangerous to climb? What makes a mountain truly dangerous? It's not always the most remote or the steepest cliff. Often it's the accessible mountains, those popular with tourists, that claim the most lives due to overconfidence. Contrast that with Kilimanjaro. Despite its massive 5,895-meter stature, it remains one of the safest high-altitude treks on Earth, with a survival rate that is virtually flawless. Absolute height and slope. On the world's highest peaks, the terrain isn't just a challenge, it's a death sentence. A vertical rock face that's manageable at sea level becomes an insurmountable fortress at 8,000 meters, where oxygen is a luxury. But altitude is only half the story. It's the steepness that truly breaks a climber. These vertical routes turn every step into a battle for survival, demanding double the time and triple the courage. Just look at the longest mile on Earth, the final 300 meters of Everest, where the line between glory and the abyss is as thin as a single breath. 8. Mount Washington. Would you believe that a mountain standing at a mere 1,900 meters could be more lethal than the world's highest giants? At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a large hill, but don't let appearances fool you. This is Mount Washington, the graveyard of the overconfident. Located in New Hampshire, USA, this peak has claimed over 150 lives. The reason? Most people arrive with the mindset of a casual tourist, only to be buried by hurricane-force winds, midsummer ice storms, and dizzying weather shifts that happen in an instant. Get this. Temperatures at the summit can plummet to -50 degrees Celsius. For decades, it even held the world record for the fastest wind speed ever recorded, a terrifying 372 kilometers per hour. Even though a cable car can whisk you straight to the top, search and rescue teams are forced into at least 25 life-or-death missions every single year. As author Nicholas Howe puts it, the biggest mistake is failing to realize the difference between a sunny day in Boston and the lethal chaos on this peak. 7. Cerro Torre. Rising from the ice fields of Argentina is a jagged needle of rock and frost known as Cerro Torre. At just 3,128 meters, it's a dwarf compared to Everest, but it is widely considered one of the most terrifying climbs on the planet. Why? Because it isn't just a mountain, it's a vertical fortress. Climbers have to battle overhanging ice and sheer rock faces, all while praying that Patagonia's legendary storms don't trap them for days. But the real danger of Cerro Torre isn't just the wind, it's the mystery. In 1959, Cesare Maestri claimed he was the first to stand on its peak. The problem? His partner, Tony Eiger, vanished during the descent, allegedly taking the only camera with him to the grave. For decades, the climbing world was split. Was Maestri a hero or a liar? In 2015, the truth began to unravel when a single photograph was debunked, proving Maestri wasn't where he said he was. To this day, the summit of Cerro Torre remains haunted by a secret that may never be fully told. 6. Mount Everest. Mount Everest, Chomolungma, the roof of the world. You'd think the highest peak on Earth would naturally be the deadliest, but the truth is far more complicated. While it towers at a staggering 8,848 meters, its modern mortality rate sits around 3%. Compare that to the 14% death rate climbers faced before the year 2000, and it seems like Everest has been tamed. But don't be fooled, the mountain is just as lethal as it's always been. Since the first recorded climb, over 300 souls have been claimed by its slopes, many lost to avalanches, while others simply faded away from heart failure or exhaustion in the death zone. Today, Everest has a new problem: commercialization. What was once a feat for the elite is now a paid service for the wealthy. With porters to carry your gear and chefs to cook your meals, the experience is for sale. But the mountain doesn't care about your bank account. You will still lose 15 kilograms of body weight, face temperatures of minus 60 degrees Celsius, and breathe air with only 30% of the oxygen you need. And then, there is the longest mile on Earth, the final 300-meter vertical crawl, where your spirit is tested more than your strength. At $90,000 a trip, you aren't just paying for a summit, you're paying for a 1 in 30 chance that you might not come home. 5. Dhaulagiri. Meet Dhaulagiri, the White Mountain. Standing at 8,167 meters in the shadow of the infamous Annapurna, it is the 7th highest peak on Earth and a nightmare for even the world's elite. While nearly 500 people have reached its summit via the standard route, there is one side of this mountain that remains an absolute mystery: the south face. It is so vertical and so violent that even the legendary Reinhold Messner, the first man to climb Everest solo, met his match here and failed. But the real terror lies in the numbers. Dhaulagiri's mortality rate is a moving target of tragedy. Depending on who you ask, between 70 and 140 climbers have perished on these slopes. In recent years, the death-to-success ratio has swung wildly from 13% to a staggering 21%. That means for every 5 people who stand on the summit, one might never come down. With its sheer ice-slicked slopes and a constant threat of avalanches, Dhaulagiri isn't just a mountain. It's a high-altitude fortress that refuses to be tamed. 4. Eiger. In the heart of the Swiss Alps, towering over the picturesque village of Kleine Scheidegg, stands the Eiger. At first glance, its 3,967-meter peak looks like a postcard. But, to the climbing world, its north face is known by a much darker name: the Mordwand or Murder Wall. This isn't just a cliff. It's a 1,800-meter vertical shadow of fractured rock and black ice. While the mountain was first summited in 1858 via the safer western route, it took another 80 years for anyone to survive the north face. It is a place where the weather turns in a heartbeat and the mountain itself seems to strike back with a constant barrage of falling rocks. To date, the Murder Wall has claimed at least 64 lives, earning its grim reputation as one of the most haunted climbs in Europe. 3. Nanga Parbat. We return to Pakistan to face one of the most feared names in mountaineering, Nanga Parbat. At 8,126 meters, it is the 9th highest peak on Earth, but the locals know it by a much darker title, the Man-Eater. What makes it so lethal? Look no further than the Rupal face. Rising nearly 5,000 meters from base to summit, this is the largest wall of rock and ice on the planet. It is a vertical desert that pushes human endurance to the breaking point. Before it was finally conquered in 1954, the mountain had already claimed 31 lives. Even today, with modern gear, the mortality rate hovers around 21%. Standing alone at the western edge of the Himalayas, Nanga Parbat is a magnet for gale-force winds and sudden violent storms. It's a mountain that doesn't just test you, it tries to consume you. 2. K2, rising from the Karakoram range on the border of Pakistan and China, is K2, a massive pyramid of rock and ice that climbers simply call the Savage Mountain. Standing at 8,611 meters, it is the 2nd tallest peak on Earth, but make no mistake, it is significantly more lethal than Everest. In the world of high-altitude mountaineering, K2 is the ultimate boss. Its most infamous feature is the bottleneck, a narrow couloir tucked beneath a towering wall of unstable ice. Here, massive blocks can collapse at any moment, sweeping climbers into the abyss. Yet, this remains the preferred path, as it's the fastest way out of the death zone. On K2, you aren't just climbing, you are racing against time, oxygen deficiency, and a mountain that earns its deadly reputation with every single storm. 1. Annapurna. Finally, we return to Nepal to face the undisputed king of the death zone. Standing at 8,091 meters, Annapurna is only the 10th highest mountain on Earth, but it is the deadliest. This is the killer mountain that sits at the very top of our list. Annapurna's history is written in shadows. With a staggering mortality rate of 27.2%, it is statistically the most lethal 8,000er in existence. To put that in perspective, for every 3 climbers who reach the summit, 1 never comes home. In 2014, The mountain showed its true fury when a single catastrophic storm triggered avalanches that claimed the lives of 43 people in one of the worst disasters in trekking history. While Everest has seen over 6,000 successful summits, Annapurna has seen only a few hundred. It is a peak so savage that most expedition companies won't even take your money instead. They suggest you stay at a safe distance and enjoy a cup of tea on a nearby ridge. Altitude is often just a number, but it's courage and a profound respect for nature that truly carry us to the summit. Out of these 8 death zones, which mountain do you find the most terrifying? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe to join us on our next extreme adventure. See you next time. Thanks for watching.